Welcome back. Tonight in 2020 Vision, President Trump held a campaign rally in Minnesota last night. There are parts of it we can't show you, or rather, there are parts of it we're not going to show you. The president's red meat vitriol wasn't new. Neither was his use of profanity, or his railing against the media, or his attacks on Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, or his anger at the, quote, insane impeachment witch hunt. None of that should go unremarked on, because the idea that the President of the United States is doing all of those things on a regular basis is actually quite remarkable. We're just not shocked anymore. And the fact that we now expect the president to act that way when he's in front of a crowd of his supporters, that's also remarkable, not unremarkable. But what is even more remarkable about what happened at last night's Trump rally is that the president went further than he's ever gone before. So we are going further than we've ever gone before to say we aren't going to play the sound. We aren't going to repeat the president's vicious attacks on Hunter Biden. The president of the United States stood in front of a crowd of supporters and character assassinated a man. Whatever you might think of his decisions, he's not a public figure. He isn't running for office, and he's not a campaign surrogate. He's not even on the campaign trail. And he isn't in any way asking for this attention, obviously. Look, we are going to tell you that the president's attack on Hunter Biden is remarkable, and it's newsworthy. But we can't in good conscience amplify those attacks, so we won't. We will simply tell you that it happened, and it seemed to cross a line, another line. Politics ain't beanbag, but it isn't supposed to be this either. We all need to play a role in not rewarding this kind of politics, not just the press. This is the job of anyone who has sworn an oath to defend the Constitution.
Well, it took more than 3 years and 12,000 lies, but the mainstream media has finally figured out how to deal with Trump's fire hose of unrelenting BS coming out of his rallies. And that's not to broadcast it, not to simply hand him a platform from which he can spread misinformation and malign innocent people to deflect attention away from himself. Because rest assured, this has been Trump's strategy from the start, to take whatever he was guilty of and project it onto others. He claimed the Russians tried to help the Democrats win. He claimed Hillary Clinton tried to rig the 2016 election. The list goes on and on. I mean, this guy is a clinic in projection. If you ever want to know exactly what crimes Donald Trump has committed, just listen to whatever accusations he pins on everyone else. Granted, Trump knows that everything he says is BS, but he isn't saying these things for himself. He's saying them for his low information audience. He relies on this toothpaste out of the tube approach, wherein Trump will spew as many lies as he can, knowing that once he said it, the damage is already done. He did it when he lied about Obama not being born in America, when he said millions of undocumented immigrants voted in 2016, because despite the fact that journalists came out after the fact and disproved his absurd claims, those listening at the time believed him. And most people aren't checking his claims against PolitiFact when they get home from his rallies. And so it's become the media's responsibility to not just report what he said, not just blindly stream his lies, but push back. And we've witnessed this more and more, such as when MSNBC's Nicole Wallace cut in to fact-check Trump in real time.
I'm going to look all of this up. One other thing, I'm just going off certain notes and elements of what we've been doing over the last 3 days, but this just came up a few minutes ago.
We hate to do this, really, but the president isn't telling the truth. These allegations against Joe Biden and Hunter Biden that he's repeating have been investigated by the Ukrainians, none other than the Wall Street Journal included in their report on Friday that the Ukrainians view this issue as having been investigated and adjudicated. And what's amazing is that what Trump appears to be trying to do is to turn his own impeachment into a big deflection.
Yeah, he's trying to change the story. I think we should say two things. First of all, the question on the table here is not about Joe Biden. It's not about Chris Murphy or any other senators he's talking about. It's not about the whistleblower. It's about his conduct and whether his conduct as president is impeachable or not, whether it amounts to misconduct. But as it relates to Joe Biden, it's important to note that this story has been looked at and thoroughly debunked by everyone involved. Joe Biden's son served on the board of a Ukrainian company. That Ukrainian company was investigated by the Ukrainian Attorney General. That investigation was closed before Joe Biden ever asked for the Attorney General to be fired. And the reason Joe Biden asked for the Attorney General to be fired, he wasn't speaking on behalf of himself or his son. He wasn't even speaking on behalf of the Obama administration. He was speaking on behalf of the West at large. The IMF wanted him gone. The other Western governments wanted him gone because this Attorney General was known to be corrupt. That's why Joe Biden pushed for him to be outed. It had nothing to do with his son, and everyone that's looked at it has confirmed that.
And when necessary, when it's reached a point where nothing he says is rooted in reality, it then becomes the media's responsibility to not air it at all. And that's where we are right now. Because the fact is that Trump is so hell-bent on taking the attention away from himself in the Ukraine scandal that he'll destroy everything in his path to find a scapegoat. He's attacked Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and Adam Schiff and the whistleblower and even thrown Rick Perry under the bus. The problem is, for the first time, none of his attacks are sticking. And that's because his crime is so basic, so simple that even those in his own party can't defend him. Trump withheld military aid to Ukraine, then asked Ukrainian President Zelensky for a favor to investigate Biden. Zelensky agreed, and then Trump released the military aid. I mean, it's an episode of NCIS, a pretty cut and dry episode at that. And because it's so obvious that Trump committed this crime, he's now turned to a scorched earth policy, desperately attacking anyone and everyone in hope that something sticks. And by far the most repeated attack is against Hunter Biden, who, as Chuck Todd noted, is not a public figure, isn't running for office, and isn't even campaigning for his father. But more importantly, he's done nothing wrong. Hunter Biden was never being investigated by a Ukrainian prosecutor, which Ukraine itself has acknowledged. Joe Biden didn't push for the corrupt Ukrainian prosecutor's ouster to protect his son. He did it and joined a slew of other European countries and international bodies because the prosecutor was failing to pursue corruption, including corruption in the company Hunter worked for. In other words, Biden pushing for the corrupt prosecutor's dismissal actually boded worse for his son. And the White House knows that, but this isn't about uncovering facts or rooting out corruption. It's just to present Biden as corrupt to deflect attention away from his own corruption. The truth is that we've reached a point where nothing Trump says can be trusted, where his words are putting lives at risk, jeopardizing the foundations of this country, and pitting people against facts. For years, Trump has been gaming the system, using the media as an unwitting participant in his misinformation campaign. We are past the point where a simple fact check will cover it. Because he can't manage to tell a single truth, the media has a responsibility not to promote him a single second more than it needs to.